Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Chevalier, where we are here to help men and women find those happy, healthy, and long term relationships. And like always, it don't matter whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, South American, or even the penguins in Antarctica, because at the end of the day, everybody's looking for love. Now, what that love looks like is different, but we may call it different things, and sometimes it may take on a different form. What I mean by everybody treats each other different. But I think the end goal is the same, is that if you live long enough in life, most people want to be appreciated or validated by someone else. And on that journey, sometimes we hit stumbling blocks. Sometimes it gets difficult. Sometimes it gets so hard to the point where you feel like giving up. And that's where we come to today's topic, dating depression. Gentlemen, it's easy to put yourself in a position in this dating thing where you want to give up, where you're worn out, where you're burned out, where you just say, maybe this isn't for me. And I always say that's the easy route out, to give up, to quit, to put yourself in a position where you say, oh, well, I'm going to go focus on, playing video games because, I done tried, but nothing has panned out. And I often say, you look at the relationship market like the job market. None of us sits back and say, well, I'm just gonna just die hungry or live outside for the rest of my life because I can't find a job. No, we continue to pursue employment until we find a job. Why? Because a job is a need, unless you were born independently rich or wealthy, which the top 90% are not. So unless you're in that top small 10%, you were not born independently rich or wealthy. So the majority of us understands, if you want to live a successful, quote unquote, free life, that you have to gain some type of reasonable employment. And so it's the same thing for dating and relationships. I tell men, if you're looking for a certain type of happiness in life outside of financial wealth, then you have to not give up so easily. And when I say give up easily, I'm not saying most guys go in after a few people and then they just throw in a towel. That's not the case, because most guys who I've come across, and even my clients, are guys who have attempted and tried over a period of time and years, and everything in them is saying not give up. But when they look at their results, they're kind of feeling depressed. They're feeling sad. They see themselves with no one to go out with. They see themselves with no one to talk to. And that's because most of the time, the issue is not with the guys. The issue is with so many different topics, which I'll begin to talk about this spring, that men tend to give in too easily, instead of saying, hey, let me put in a little more effort to make this work. A simple example could be bad first dates. A lot of guys go on first dates that don't work out. And after a number of first dates, they say, oh, this ain't for me. I'm quitting. I'm giving up. Instead of saying, hey, let me change the place in which I go on first dates. I know in most of us, we feel first dates have to be at nice restaurants or expensive places. Instead of saying, hey, let me go to a coffee shop. Hey, let's go to the park. Hey, let's go swimming. Hey, let's go skating. They don't always have to be expensive. I know most guys have been taught that the more money you spend on a date, the better outcomes you get. But there are guys that don't take women on dates ever, and they're still, finding relationships left and right. It's a narrative that benefits women. So yes, they're going to say, oh yeah, the more money you spend, the nicer the place, the better the relationship. Because it benefits the narrative of give us everything we want and we might like you. When in actuality, where you take a woman on a date really doesn't matter, because if she likes you, she's going to like you. And if she's not, it doesn't matter if you spend $1 million or $100 million on a date, she's going to feel the same. So to me, giving up is not an option. Stick with it. Change the way you do things. And I always say that's the answer to defeating dating depression, gentlemen. Change the way you're doing things. Change the type of woman you're talking to. Change where you go on dates. Change how you communicate. But the answer to defeating dating depression is change. In the great words of Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. Till the next time. Peace.